Our next speaker is Romana Harrison, and she's come here today to share with us her story. She's a U.S. Navy vet. She served from 1976 to 1980. She's originally from California, but in 2012, the VA sent her to Texas for treatment for PTSD. Once here, she decided to become a medical cannabis activist for herself and her fellow veterans as part of her therapy. So here she is to share more about her story with you.
Okay. Yes, my name is Romana Harrison, and she said I'm a Navy veteran. My war is different. Oh, sorry. Is that better? Yeah. Thank you. All right, this is emotional. The friends of mine who are here know this. My war was different from everybody else's war that was here. My war began before time when we first started conflicts, and my war still continues. Chris, this is a snippet, this is a trailer from an Oscar-nominated, Emmy-winning documentary about my war.
Everything changed the day that I was raped. He hit me in the head and knocked me out. I remember holding the closet thinking, what just happened?
A month later, I found out I was pregnant.
If this is happening to me, surely I'm not the only one.
16,150 service members were assaulted in 2009.
About half a million women have now been sexually assaulted in the U.S. military.
They let this man get away with everything but murder. They gave him Military Professional of the Year award during the rape investigation. They made it very, very clear if I said anything, they were going to kill me.
Most Americans assume that there is access to a system of justice.
You would think that because the military is about protecting our country, certainly they would want to protect their own.
We're a country who needs every good soldier to make sure we have a strong military defense. How many women are leaving the military because they've been sexually assaulted or raped?
Civilians seen as being a military problem.
Those rapists are repetitive criminals. They do it again and again.
They go on to literally prey on women and men, girls and boys in our neighborhoods back home.
When does this ever end?
It's very difficult to do a story on the most powerful institution in the world.
The Department of Defense has a history of covering up sexual defense problems. I don't know who you think elected you to defy the Congress of the United States. What is it you're trying to hide?
When I arrived on my first base, I was 17. Within a week, I had been attacked and raped by an Iranian pilot who was a student. We were allies then. In sick bay, I was told that this didn't happen. There would be no report of my being there. This man had diplomatic immunity. I was given a direct command to tell no one, including my own mother. A kind nurse came in and told me, "I'm sorry, babe, you're never going to have children." All those years, I could never tell her why. While rape victims in the civilian world can turn to a military, can turn to a police force and judicial system, us rape victims in the military can only turn to our commanders. 33% do not report the assault because the person they have to report to was a friend of the rapist. In my case, it was my supervisors and their bosses they were drinking buddies with. I want to preface the next part of saying, the first time I talked with a vet center therapist and told her the years I served, I said nothing else to her but that, and then she teared up and she told me how sorry she was. I looked at her shocked when she said that right after Vietnam had ended, a big upsweep in rapes in the military had begun. Now it's 1 in 3 women who are assaulted, but it's 1 in 5 men. Sexual assault is not about sex, it's about power. I had supervisors who showed me keys to my room and said they had hidden drugs in my room, and if I said anything to fight, I would be drummed out dishonorably. I had a friend who tried to. She was raped by a married man, and they charged her with adultery. And they drugged her out dishonorably. Then they said she also had an adjustment personality disorder and borderline personality disorder, and that's what was used. How this relates to cannabis? Well, I buried this all for 35 years. When I got out, I ripped my uniform in the UCMJ. But despite all that, I'm a patriot, and I would still do it all again, even knowing what happened, because I love my country, and I love the military. There were good people who could have helped me, but their careers could have been destroyed too. Some of them would have been so angry they would have done something bad, and I couldn't allow that to happen. So, about 10 years after I got out, my only biological brother died from alcohol overdose. My uncle watched me lining up punch cups of Jack Daniels, 5 of them, drinking them like shots. And then he did an intervention on me because he didn't want me to die like my uncle. He wanted me to tell him what happened, and I said he didn't have a high enough security clearance. He said, well then let me tell you my story. He then told me about how the night he survived the terrible horrors of D-Day, shaking and in shock, some French soldiers came and smoked cannabis with him and some other survivors. They told him it would not make the day go away, but it would help him deal with it. He teared up when he said he didn't have the words to say how much cannabis had helped him through the decades. He told me he used it as an exit drug from alcohol and painkillers, and he begged me to do the same thing to save my life. He was also furious that as an upright citizen, our laws made him a criminal for trying to save his own life. If not for that intervention and my use of cannabis instead of alcohol, I surely would not be on this stage. More than once I held that gun under my chin, just wanting us to all suck it in. But I promised my uncle that I would take a puff when I felt that bad, and take a step back and call him if I needed to. And that really, really helped. I'm cutting this short because we're running a little bit behind. Alcohol's had a hand in all 3 of my brother's death and both of my parents' death. I, the lone cannabis user, am alive and able to function mostly, despite my severe PTSD. So I've noted that a fully legal substance that has no serving size on it slowly killed all of them. Cannabis has helped keep me from death and suicide. I have tried all the different psychiatric meds that VA prescribes. As we all know, they have horrible, horrible side effects. And they run blood tests on you and they hook up monitors because it can destroy your heart. That's very terrifying to follow. There's so many people that this can help, and those of us that put their lives on the line, and those of us that lost some of our sanity. I've tried CBD only when I was in California multiple times, and it really did not help. It helped with some tremblings that I have, but not the nightmares, not the sleep, not the anxiety, not the hyper-awareness of it. So, my vet center therapist, and for those of you that don't know about a vet center, it is separate from the VA. They cannot release information to the VA unless you give them written permission. Only combat veterans can go there, and military sexual survivors like myself can go there. The therapy I have had there has been fantastic. My therapist actually made it a part of my goal plan to begin changing Texas cannabis law. She supported me that much. My first goal was to talk to a legislator, to write a legislator a call. My next goal was to go lobby. Then my next one was to actually testify at a committee, which I did twice. And all of that has been way more helpful to me than any of the bills that they've had. They offered me something called immersion therapy, which is you essentially talk about what happened to you for several months. But that just seemed a waste to me. Why would I talk to someone who already knows my story? Talking to you, sharing the story is way more therapeutic for me than repeating the same shit over again that everybody already knows about me. I did note that I found it interesting in Israel that reserve soldiers on active duty can go use cannabis. They have a special room, they can go and smoke. They can't smoke with anybody else, just by themselves. They can come out and go back on active duty. And yet, we here who fought and were injured and damaged and are coming back, we can carry guns, we can push buttons, but we can't use cannabis? That just doesn't make any sense to me. So I would ask, I want to thank Dr. Sicily, wherever she went. Thank you very much for everything that you've done. It's been a whole lot and given a lot of us a lot of hope. So I would ask that as many of you are here, there's some new people here, and I've asked that you join us and find that Dave is right. Dave was my leader from the front, and then Dave hooked me up with Dr. Martin, and he included me in the article, War Without End. And that's really, talking to him was the first person outside my family that I had ever talked to about this. And it's really, really difficult. But keep an eye out for your brothers, help all of us as much as we can. Any questions?